Chapter 2 Platform Pivot: The Birth of a Hungry Fat Chick. In this chapter, we find our maiden wandering the endless grey corridors of her labyrinth. She would occasionally round a corner to find a doorway aglow with warm golden light, so inviting that it could hardly be ignored. These chambers had appeared to her as long as she could remember, never in the same place twice, yet somehow always manifesting when her despair grew deepest, as though the labyrinth itself sensed her vulnerability. Inside, the harsh stone walls transformed into a sumptuous haven of plush pillows and vibrant tapestries, firelight casting gentle shadows that danced across tables laden with endless delicacies. Here, time seemed suspended. The food never diminished no matter how much she consumed. The wine goblets refilled themselves, and the perfect warmth enveloped her like a lover's embrace. Or so she imagined. While inside the chamber, she felt unseen eyes upon her, relentless in their gaze. With each visit, these eyes seemed to multiply, and their stares grew more intense, more demanding. Yet the comfort of this illusory sanctuary made such concerns easy to dismiss. She knew it wasn't real. She had always known. Yet she had become masterful at convincing herself otherwise, if only for these precious moments. But as her body grew heavy with consumption, reality would begin its inevitable return. The doorway through which she entered, still visible even in her fantasy, would slowly expand, darkness seeping in around its edges. Cold air probed at her skin. Please, not yet, she begged to the doorway as it grew. No matter how desperately she focused on the feast before her, the gateway to the labyrinth grew until it consumed the entire vision, leaving her once again surrounded by cold stone, now colder than before. The fog, thicker than before, and the whispers of self-judgment that had momentarily quieted returned with renewed potency. With each visit to these chambers, her return to the labyrinth grew more painful, her limbs heavier, her breath more labored, each step more agonizing than the last. Yet, even knowing this, even understanding that these chambers made her eternal journey more difficult, she found herself surrendering whenever they appeared. They had become her only comfort in her endless meandering, her sole distraction, and, as it happened, the very thing that prevented her from noticing the small, hidden pathways that might have led towards freedom. And if you haven't done so already and you would like to support my tiny egg of a channel, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. Thanks so much. Welcome back, Nuggets. This mother clucker has some thoughts. Let's ruffle some feathers and get into the video. In case any of you noticed, I wanted to thank you for your patience with my video release. I had been battling a little bit of a tummy situation, and apparently these videos become very unpalatable when I am not feeling well. So anyway, back on track now, and just in case anyone noticed, I wanted to say thank you. Thanks so much for tuning in again. If you're new here, although this is labeled Chapter 2, you do not technically need to go back and watch Chapter 1, but it's interesting, so I encourage you to. I may also reference some things that I discussed in that one. But we have a big one today. I wanted to explore the digital footprint of Candy from as far back as I could possibly find, and she actually doesn't have a lot online. I suspect that a lot has been deleted. Perhaps in the rise of her YouTube channel, she may have made some choices to just get rid of some of the past stuff, and I am building a timeline of hers as I get to know her better. As things are revealed to me, I will add them as I find them. So we're going to be moving through chronologically from about 2008-ish to the end of 2016. And it was actually the end of 2016 where she really started uploading regularly to YouTube. So that will take us basically to the point where Hungry Fat Chick became a thing. So what we know so far is that she did have 2 children in the late 90s and very early 2000s. And at some point in 2001 or 2002, we know that she went through a divorce from her baby daddy, got into a relationship with somebody that I think is into crop loading, that is encouraging Candy to continue her journey with food and got into adult entertainment. So I think due to the fact that she did have an adult entertainment career, there really isn't much to be found outside of that sphere. But I'm going to run through what I did find because I think it's quite illuminating as to what her mindset was at the time, who she saw herself as, and who she wanted to be, what she wanted to do with her life. So buckle up, Nuggets, because this is going to be a long one, but an interesting one. Now, everything that I will be talking about in this video that isn't on her YouTube channels will be linked in the description. So if you feel like you would also like to do a little bit of sleuthing like I did, by all means, you can jump in and have a look. I've just highlighted the areas that I thought were going to be of most interest and most pertinent to what we're doing here. So the first thing I found was that Candy likes to blog. Now, she does reference 2 blogs. However, only one has a post on it. And that's why I think maybe she had actually deleted a bunch of things. So the blog that we'll be talking about is actually around her adult entertainment career. I don't know whether she just didn't go forward with it or if she has deleted a bunch of stuff, but it actually sounds like it would have been really interesting. Just a disclaimer, everything that I will be saying has been edited and censored. So again, links in the description if you want to see the unedited, uncensored versions. So this blog labeled Candy Godiva, Corn Star at Large. And she goes on to describe herself. I am the supersized web model, Candy Godiva. In this blog, I will share with you some of my deepest, darkest secrets, stories from my traumatic childhood, my ideas, things that engage me, things I dream of, my hopes, wishes, and my complete self. I don't know if it's anything anyone would really like to read, but I hope so. Maybe something in my story can help someone make better choices in life than I did. I'm not ashamed of anything I've done. Without my experiences, good or bad, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I like myself. I have moments of insecurity, jealousy, envy, and greed, but I'm human. I am a flawed being, but I'm trying, and I have faith that if I keep trying, I can be a better person tomorrow than I am today. I am Candy Godiva, an SSBBW amateur corn star and web model. I am a proud fat chick, and I believe that you can be attractive at any size. You don't have to be a carbon copy cut out of what society says is attractive. Attractiveness is a state of mind. So I think that would have been really interesting to read. I would have happily sat there and read everything she had to say, basically. But unfortunately, as I've mentioned, there is only one entry, and it's pretty much the origin story that we covered in chapter 1, although not as much information is given in the blog article as in that video. So moving on, I found a whole lot of activity on a forum of Dimensions magazine, which is pretty much a magazine dedicated to the kind of lifestyle that Candy has. Right? Now, once again, I've just selected the ones that were interesting. They are censored and they are incomplete because in order to see the whole post, I would have had to have signed up and paid a subscription for this magazine. And although I am dedicated to the cause, Nuggets, I hope you don't mind. I do not really want to be paying a subscription to this kind of magazine. So I'll just show you the snippets that I did find on her. So on the 27th of May, 2008, she said, I wanted to share with you all that I discovered when I stepped on the scales that I gained the last 5 pounds to make me a whopping 420 pounds over the weekend. I am so happy and wiggly. So this is 17 years ago, and we're still really kind of hovering around the same number, right? When I started my very first video on Candy, who is Hungry Fat Chick, I think she started at 419 on that, or 417, something like that. So although 17 years has passed, you can really see that there probably have been fluctuations, but we're really still kind of in the same space. But I think what's so profound, but I think what really stood out to me with this post is that she is at least putting out publicly how proud she is. And she would have been into her adult entertainment career for about 6 years at this point, and she would be 36 in 2008. So whether, this is how she really feels or whether it's not, of course, we will never know. But this is a little bit of insight. Of the same year, the 26th of June, I've gained 45 to 50 pounds since starting to play WoW a year and a half ago. I was fighting it for a while, but WoW is a real bodybuilder. So fighting it for a while is interesting terminology, because I wonder if that's kind of giving insight that she actually didn't really want to be gaining weight at this time. Who knows? Because she certainly shouts it loud and proud all through these years. So WoW is something that is going to be coming up quite a bit, especially in the videos that we'll be covering a bit later in the video. And I'm not at all casting shade on gamers. I'm a gamer myself and have been for many decades. And it can be a really good way to, zone out and just kind of relax. But my concern with Candy is that she's probably using it as a bit of a crutch or as a bit of a way to socialize without actually leaving the house, that kind of thing. And I think anybody who's really into gaming needs to be aware of the psychological addiction that can come with it, especially in MMOs, because there is that social aspect of it. On the 11th of August 2008, she discusses what she wanted to be when she grew up. I wanted to be a cowgirl, but I was too fat to ride the pony, sad face. True story, sad but true. I also wanted to be a truck driver, a football player, or one of those gorgeous ladies of wrestling, which, by the way, I can totally imagine Candy doing when I was a kid. When I got older, I wanted to be a firefighter or police officer. And something that stood out here to me is how active several of these career choices are. And we know from chapter 1 that Candy really defines herself as a feral child who's living on borrowed time, and really seems to put out there that she feels that she doesn't deserve good things to happen to her. And I find it sad that she lost sight of these goals, or perhaps felt that she wasn't good enough to do them. On the 22nd of September 2008, I thought this was interesting. She talks about her name. So Candy Godiva was a spur-of-the-moment decision. One day while riding around in the car with Tommy, this is the alleged crop loader, before building my website, I had to choose a stage name, and it was the best one I could come up with. Candy is my real name, and I love the story of Lady Godiva. So I don't know if this Tommy character got her into adult entertainment or if she met him shortly after getting into it. The way she references Tommy, down the track and in other things, it doesn't sound like he was a positive influence on her life, and they were together for 8 years. So he has a very large question mark over his head for me. I wonder what his motives were and what role he played in her life. On the 23rd of October, basically, we covered a little bit of this in chapter 1, but she says, oh wow, yeah, I was so bad with it as a kid, sneaking into the kitchen at night and loading up on junk food and leftovers when I was supposed to be on a diet, that my granddaddy started putting locks on the refrigerator and pantry so I couldn't sneak anymore. Sad Fatty was sad. And I think it's worth in this video really keeping in mind that when we're talking about Candy, we're talking about a cycle of undealt with childhood trauma, where she had nothing very, very early on. And then when she did have food, it was used as a reward and as a good thing. So then she, ate too much of it, then was put on a very restrictive diet by doctors. That triggers the trauma response again, and then she wants to eat more, and thus perpetuating this cycle. So that is a tiny little snippet of basically what we talked about in chapter 1. And skipping ahead to 2009, the 28th of August, and I've changed words in this too. If I have to label myself, CD would be where I lump myself in. Although I'm also a cedar/crop loader, I'm into overeating and being so full as if I'm going to burst. Yeah, that's my thing. I also love my fat, and being fat, I'm actively gaining at the moment as well. It's always difficult to tell with Candy because she's such a master at creating an illusion around herself and like for herself. I think she's so good at not looking at the truth of things and telling herself what she wants to believe and then looking at that and only that. And it's really difficult to tell whether this is true or whether this is just hiding or glossing over the fact that she legitimately believes that this is what she deserves and isn't actually happy about it. And I don't know. We're going to talk a lot more about that because this comes up a lot more. But maybe at this stage in her life, you know, she's like 37 or turning 37 that year. And maybe this is really how she felt at that time. But to me, I can't help but feel when we're dealing with interests that are completely self-destructive, it's almost like this is just how this person has chosen to give up, if that makes sense. And it's really bleak, and I really struggle to get my mind in that kind of zone. But unfortunately, I think it's something that we have to entertain with the women that I cover. Okay, so I'm going to slot this next clip in. I found a show, a really, really disgusting show. If I were the host, I would be deeply ashamed about this show, and the full show is in the links in my description. I couldn't find specifically when it was released, but it was somewhere between 2009 and 2011, so that's why I thought this might be good in here. So let's watch.
And now I'd like to introduce you to webcam sensation Candy Godiva. She's once, twice, 11 times a lady, approximately.
Yeah, so there's a lot of jokes of that kind of caliber all throughout this segment. And it's basically just a show that looks at various web personalities, essentially, and then ruthlessly makes fun of them. I don't support this kind of show, but I wanted to highlight that, like, she was prolific enough in her career that she was actually attracting this kind of attention. And if you've ever searched it, and look, if you want to search it, go right ahead. It's on the internet. You can find it. You can see that she was a prolific actress in this arena. There is so much content. I've just clipped a little bit. Hopefully it is YouTube safe, nice and safe, but you'll get the idea. And if you've watched my Anne Boleyn content, I take a slightly controversial opinion with this kind of topic, in the sense that I kind of approach people with a live and let live philosophy of, like, you know, you're all consenting adults. It would be different if there was a party in a relationship who was trying to trick the other person into gaining weight or getting into this kind of situation. But if everybody's on board and everybody is fully aware, although it is incredibly self-destructive and I can't fully get behind that, it's like, you know, adults are gonna adult. But I think what makes me sad about Candy, though, is that she admitted in chapter 1 that I covered of her origin story that she may have gotten into adult entertainment to spite her grandfather, which is not on the list of reasons that I would say is a good reason for getting into this kind of industry. And that makes me really deeply sad for where we're going with this whole story. But let's continue, shall we? So on the 29th of August 2010, I'm newly single. I don't care for the single life, not one little bit. I'm getting too old for this, but I'm the kind of bird who needs to stretch her wings now and again. So after 8 years with my last boyfriend, it was time. So Tommy is officially gone. I think that's a positive thing for Candy's life, and getting too old for this. Like, ma'am, you're 37. Simmer down, cupcake. Jeez. And on the 16th of October, a couple of months later, still single and thinking of taking myself off the market anyway. I have too much personal drama with my quote-unquote angry ex. I also find myself getting too attached to certain people a little too fast, and that's not healthy either. So again, these little tiny glimpses of Candy actually having some like introspection that is really accurate. And I don't know if the quote unquote angry ex is speaking about Tommy. It kind of, the timing of it might indicate that, but she did not say explicitly. She did mention in her origin story that she has a series of bad relationships. So in all honesty, it could probably be pointing at any one of them. And last but not least, for the forum posts, on the 9th of December, 2010, oh my God, I was just browsing one of my boyfriend's new blogs, obesite.com. It doesn't exist anymore, I checked. And I found this picture of myself I don't even remember posing for. I thought the folks on the weight board would appreciate it. Smiley face. Yes, the image is huge. That's the way he wanted it though. So I don't know the name of this new boyfriend. He is absolutely a crop loader, and we're going to get into now some videos that she did while she was with him.
Hey y'all, I'm here at Sonic. I'm about to get me a foot-long quarter-pound coney with some chili cheese tots and a blue coconut slushie. I might even get something else, I'm not sure yet, but Lord, look how much I fill this van up.
So this is him, the boyfriend behind the camera. You can kind of see the motivation there, right? So she is now 8 years into an adult career, and she's found this guy who blogs and is clearly a fan of hers and knew who she was because he had a picture of her in a past blog, and this is the kind of content that they're doing together.
Yeah, awesome.
Fill my belly up good with some Sonic, oh yeah.
And I don't know, it's hard to tell. Please tell me what you think, but does this look like a woman who is comfortable and happy with this situation? And why I say it's hard to tell is because it could be that she's just not used to being on camera in this way or in a setting like this. Or maybe it's just because it's a new relationship, but something, the vibe of this, having seen what I've seen of Candy, doesn't resonate as true. But then again, maybe she's playing her character. Maybe she's just being Candy Godiva here.
Oh, hell yeah. This is me just splitting. Oh, shit.
Man, can't even get that arm in the whole, that takes up the whole frame. Lord, just look him.
So this guy is just having the time of his life, isn't he? He thinks he's hit the jackpot.
Look at that. Square it full of some mustard and some onions. Oh yeah, that's gonna be good. Oh hell yeah. I'm excited. Alright, now I'm ready to eat.
And that's basically Candy going to her happy place. She's happiest when she's eating. She's going to mention it many times in this video. And I don't know, like it's conflicting, isn't it? Because yes, adults being adults, but in the sense of Candy, are we in exploitation territory here because of the reasons that she's doing it? Does that make it different? Like when I was talking about Amber Lynn and her ex-girlfriend, it was, the situation I think was a little bit different in the sense that Amber has an extremely long history of financially mistreating partners, and Tommy, the girlfriend, has, or ex-girlfriend, had an extremely long history of overfeeding girlfriends. And so it kind of, I don't know, it was more of an equal playing field. I feel like if there was manipulation on both parts, I don't know. Look, tell me what you think, because I am a little back and forth. Something about the situation with Candy feels like she's being taken advantage of. But then again, sorry to bounce around, she's an adult. She gets to choose what she does with her body. Yeah. Tell me what you think. Give me the answers, nuggets, because I don't have any. Okay, so these next two videos were uploaded on the same day, which was the day after the video that we just watched. I don't actually know if that's the way filming was done. For all I know, this was days apart, but just to give you some context there on the dates, they're the upload dates.
Hey y'all, SSBBW Candy, the hungry fat chick here, fixing to test out part of the new food truck revolution here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm really excited. They fresh cut their french fries every day. They make their own homemade sausage, homemade pickles, and also I'm going to get a side of something called praline bacon. They put this on one of their burgers and it just sounds amazing. I'm gonna have to just try it. Okay, well, I'm gonna go order my food now and we're gonna see what this looks like. I'm so excited.
This is so common with Candy too. She's so excited about getting food. This is so much her happy place. This is what she relies on in order to get those feel-good hormones through her body, which it absolutely does. And, you know, it is a chemical response to it. But the problem with relying on something like eating to release those kind of hormones, to feel any sort of decent, is that it's extremely short-lived. It's pretty much exclusively in the moment, and then once you're done eating, it's over. And especially if you've really overeaten, you don't feel good, and then you really don't have, have the good sensations. And I wish so much for Candy. And by the way, if you are resonating at all with any of this situation, it's so important to find another thing in your life that makes you feel that way, that you can build a support structure around yourself in order to deal with, when you get stressed, when you go through grief, when you get mad, when the bad emotions in life that happen, because that's life. You have spent time developing systems and activities that make you feel better in order to cope with those feelings rather than just turning to food. I am speaking from experience here, by the way, Nuggets. I totally understand comfort eating and emotional eating. And, that can look different for everybody else. And I think the biggest thing, particularly with people like Candy, or when you're in that kind of situation, is you feel like you're not good at anything, or you feel like you can't do anything. And that's only because you haven't put the time into practicing that skill. Babies are not born being able to play the piano or being able to draw or being able to run a marathon. These are things that we put time into to develop. And if you're setting them up as support systems for coping with negative emotions, then you don't even have to be good at them. You just have to enjoy them. And for me, I think I've discussed this before, the absolute works every single time is a workout for me. Exercise really helps. I find if I can elevate my heart rate into a fat burn zone for at least 15 minutes, I'm pretty much going to hit the dopamine every time. But also I enjoy playing guitar. Also I enjoy crochet. There's a whole host of hobbies that I've surrounded myself with that I can just move through systematically in order to go, oh, okay, that doesn't work, let's try this. That doesn't work, let's try this. And eventually you'll find you're feeling better. But all of these things, especially the exercise, sustain those feel-good hormones so much longer than eating a burger.
Long time.
So she's 38 here, and compared to Who is Hungry Fat Chick, the first video I did of her, look at how she moves, look at how she talks, look at the energy. This would have been such a wonderful time for her to turn it around.
Okay, I've tasted the fries already. Delicious, fresh, flavorful, crisp.
I found this to be such an awkward watch because you can literally hear this man filming her and just the heavy breathing in the background. Yes, I mentioned it here so that you can go and listen to it now.
Super tasty.
Sorry, Nuggets. If I experience it, you experience it. That's caring and sharing.
Wanted to give a little taste to the praline bacon. Oh my God. Oh. I'm gonna have to look up what burger that goes on.
So I'm not really sure like how much of the gratuitous sounds I should leave in. She makes noises all the way through eating, like to the point where I think it's actually subconscious at this point. And you'll see that in the later videos that I cover as well. But I'll try to edit out as much as I can. Just know it's everywhere, like everywhere.
Fresh, local, organically grown, fresh buns, fresh ground beef. They're doing it right. They are doing it right.
And I mean, one thing I've got to say about Candy compared to, you know, other women that I cover, at least she's upfront about what she's doing. Like, she knows exactly what she's doing. She knows who her audience is. She knows, she has a vision of the actual thing that's going on here compared to, you know, like Eugenia, who clearly panders to her kind of eccentric interest crowd, but then completely denies that she's doing it. At least Candy's upfront.
My taste buds are climaxing right now. I promise you, climax.
So this kind of early content that she was putting on YouTube almost has like a food review vibe, and that might have been a really interesting angle for her to take, where she can go around and try these different things, and we don't even get to see her like finish a meal at all. That's not part of it. We get introduced to the food, she takes a bite and, you know, moans over it and then moves on. But we definitely in 2016 discovered mukbangs and moved fully into that arena. But maybe like a food review Hungry Fat Chick would have been cool.
Hungry Fat Chick approves. See y'all next time.
So I actually wanted to look into the nutrition of all of these places, but most of these places that she's going to have actually since closed. So there's no way of knowing what kind of calories or anything like that. In her videos that we'll cover a little bit later in this video, I'll do some estimations of calorie intake, but it's just going to be that pure estimation because things can change. You know, this was 15 years ago, so.
Hi y'all, Hungry Fat Chick here at the Burger Delight. They had the best burgers and a generous amount of fries, and they always had the thickest, best shakes in Gonzales, as far as I'm concerned. I'm hoping they satisfy me today. And there it is. Chili cheese tots. Generous amount of french fries that I forgot to order and had to wait for, and a beautiful double cheeseburger that's been waiting for me to eat it. I'm really excited to try this stuff.
So you can really see a pattern with these early videos. We get the introduction of the food and she's really excited. She's always really excited.
I'm just going to take a taste now. Oh yeah, my hungryfatchick.com food blog has a whole section devoted to chili and cheese. So let's see.
I looked for it. It's not a thing anymore. She's deleted everything. You can find the profile page and that's it. And it's such a shame. I would have loved to have read it. But yeah, it is unfortunately no longer.
Burger Delight gets 2 fatty thumbs up. Y'all be sure to come try it now. Bye.
Oh, sorry, Nuggets. I lied. I forgot about this post. This is the last forum post. So on the 11th of June, single again. So this was a very short-lived relationship, and I think that is a very, very good thing for Candy based on what we just saw. So she said single again, and I'm not really looking to date. I've actually never had to date. I've been satisfied with physical relationships, and the rest of the time basically gone from bad relationship to bad relationship. I'm a bit shell-shocked, I suppose. I don't need another bad relationship, I assume she says after that. So she knows that these men aren't good for her. And as far as I know, I don't know if she's had any relationships between this one and current day. Maybe somebody could inform me. We'll find out though. I'll be covering it. But I am very glad that that one ended. Okay, let's move into 2016. So there was literally nothing online that I could find in between 2010 and 2016. So now we're moving into the Hungry Fat Chick content that we know today. And this is where she really kicked off her YouTube career. She started uploading again. Everything's always in December. I think it seems to be a pattern, because she did this with her recent health journey too, where she gets a little run up in December, I think, ready to hit the ground running for the 1st of January seems to be her mindset. And Nuggets, I will spare you another rant about what I think about the 1st of January. Okay.
Today I'm doing Granny's Kitchen fried chicken. A little bit of mukbang today.
In any case, this is the current day version of Hungry Fat Chick in a full mukbang. Okay, so with these mukbang videos, she spends most of it, like the vast majority of the time, just eating the food, making her noises, and talking about the food. So I've gone through and I've picked out the parts that actually tell us about her story or about how she was feeling at that time.
Okay. Let's see what I've got here. I've got some yummy dinner rolls. Ooh, so soft. Yum, yum, yum.
So something that struck me straight away, jumping from the 2010 videos to the 2016 videos, we're only talking about 6 years difference, but you can notice the deterioration that's happened in that time. As far as I know at this point, she's now stopped doing movies. She stopped being an actress in movies, but it does sound like, based on some things that she says, that she might be doing just like cam kind of work, and of course her YouTube work. If you listen to like the way she talks, her breathing, it's strikingly different to what we just watched in the 2010 content. So unfortunately, this kind of lifestyle is always going to take a toll on her body. And she's in her mid-40s now at 44. So these kind of things are inevitable, unfortunately.
This is my practice run. I hope I do okay. Let me get some yummy chicken, fried chicken.
Does anyone else feel like she just treated us like a dog? Do you feel like you were being taunted with chicken? I don't know what that was. She doesn't keep doing that much.
Oh. This cheese is usually really gooey.
Oh goodness, I've been out of the takeaway scene for too long, and this does not look like food any longer. I will actually be doing a calorie estimation breakdown at the end of this based on what she consumes as well. So just a little bit of a sneaky what the cluck are you eating in there that, you know, I still haven't gotten around to doing. Too busy, Nuggets.
To eat really good food. It just makes me happy. And to share a meal with people, it's even happier.
These things that she tells herself, and again, if you're resonating with this at all, the things that we tell ourselves are so important. And our brain tends to believe the things that we tell it, right? Or is it telling itself? Anyway, you get what I mean. And to say that she's sharing a meal with people, it's an interesting kind of like reverse parasocial relationship almost that she's having with the audience, because the reality is she's sitting in her living room alone, looking at a camera, eating a whole lot of food. I mean, a whole lot of food. And she is not only getting her happiness out of this being her happy place, but also making it into something that it's not, if that makes sense. So yeah, be careful what you tell yourself. Your brain will believe it.
So this is like a practice run for the hungry fat chick here doing mukbang. Might not talk a lot. Might end up eating a lot more than talking. And I end up eating a lot. It's so good though. It makes me so happy to eat.
You see what I mean? This is such a recurring thing. It's really not a good idea to put your happiness in the hands of something that is so fickle. And not only is it fickle in the sense that the happiness of it stops when you stop doing it, but it's harmful. So you're doing something that makes you happy that is also unaliving you. But even at this point, okay, she missed the boat when she was 36 or 37. At that point, it would have been great to see her put her effort into something else that makes her happy, that can support her emotions. But even now, this is another off-ramp, right? This would have been a wonderful time for her to develop herself in that way.
So let's see, what's new in the world of Candy? What have I been doing? I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft lately. Legion's been keeping me really busy.
So again, WoW is popping up. It will continue to. If you've listened to videos of mine before, you know that I say that what we put our time into practicing is going to develop that skill. And sometimes putting your time into inaction is still developing inaction as a skill. So it doesn't matter what you're choosing to do. You're essentially putting your level up points into that particular thing. And what we're seeing from Candy is, although I think we were first talking about WoW in 2008 or 2009, and now we're in 2016 and she's still doing the same thing, she's put her skill points into WoW, so to speak, or into avoiding the world, or into just being able to sit and have an excuse to sit and call it something else. This is why gaming, I think, needs to be taken with consideration, because it can lead to this kind of thing if you're not aware of it.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time watching TV shows. Spent a lot of time on Facebook. I like to watch that feed. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And there's little memes. But I like it. It makes me feel good. Makes me happy.
And this is something to be really aware of. So there's been some really decent studies by this point as to the effects that social media and, doom scrolling can have on the brain. And again, we're seeing from Candy, we're kind of looking for that immediate gratification. So we're looking to feel happy from eating food. We're looking to feel happy from playing games. We're looking to feel happy from watching TV. And we're looking to feel happy from scrolling through memes or social media. And none of these things are productive, and none of these things are going to better her life in any way. It's all like very short-term gain. And I really encourage you to have a look at, what are you spending your time doing? What are you putting your skill points into? And could it be put into something different? What I would have loved to have seen from Candy at this point is like, just start trying things. There are so many hobbies that are very inexpensive to set up, and they are relatively easy to pick up, but then, difficult to master. But like, just seek something that can spark that kind of happiness. Even if the thing is trying new things. I did that for a while. I had a hobby day Friday. I'd try a new thing every single Friday. and some things stuck, some things didn't. Anything that is going to be a little bit more productive, because at the moment what we're hearing is that she's sitting at home all day looking at her phone or looking at her computer, and how much time could have been put into anything at all, anything.
I don't like how fatty, excuse me, I don't like how fatty the thighs are. And you know, that's so stupid. The fatty thighs, I got me some fatty thighs, that's for sure. No, I don't like fat thighs.
So at this point in the mukbang, I've edited out a lot of just like eating and making noises. We're about 26 minutes into this video at this point. And have you noticed how she's speaking there? Like, she's almost inarticulate. She's slurring her words, and there's almost like a giddiness to it. Like, yes, there are some things that this could be. This could be an act. This could be that she's taken some sort of substance and it's just metabolizing now and it's kicking in, or maybe she's consuming something off camera or whatever it may be. Although I don't actually know if there's cuts in this now that I think so. If she had a drink of something, for example, I don't know that she'd be able to hide that. But if we just ignore those possibilities just for a moment, yes, it could be those things, but it could actually be highlighting some really concerning things. Like if she's just sitting there and eating and this is happening to her body. When you consume like this much food, and I'll run through exactly how much food it is, it's a lot, and it's all like carbs and fatty foods. So it could be that her blood is being diverted to her digestive system in order to handle this amount of food that's been put into it, which actually reduces the blood in the brain that oxygenates the brain, and that could be like, it looks intoxicated. She might actually be having an insulin response to like that many carbs going into her system, which could be indicating that she's pre-diabetic or already diabetic and it's not being addressed, and that's really dangerous. And it's just like her body working overtime to try and process everything that's being put in it. So when I saw this, I actually became really, really concerned about her, because in the first video I did, she was doing a series of doctor's visits and then, you know, avoiding them. But she said that she was told something really bad. And I'm concerned that her lifestyle leading up to this point has taken a much bigger toll than perhaps what we see in other people. And everybody's different. Genetics are a thing, and sometimes it hits people, sometimes it doesn't. But this is such a big warning sign for me. I can't even begin to express it.
When they're fried for some fucking reason, I've got to eat all the skin. It's like a compulsion. And I'll sit there and I'll make myself sick eating all that fat skin.
So what we're hearing here is that food for Candy, as we've covered in chapter 1, food is not just a source of nutrition and fulfillment for her. It is so much deeper than that, and it runs, I almost like want to say it's a little OCD-like, although she just described it as a compulsion, so, you know, if she's obsessively compulsive, then, you know. But to know that this is something that you do, to be able to sit there and say, I have such a problem with this that I will do it until I'm sick. Somebody who is taking responsibility for their own life and somebody who is trying to better themselves might go, okay, well, I can't be within 100 meters of a fried chicken, you know? I think in this case, you know, these sorts of things need to be treated like an addiction. And without a doubt, I think that's what we're seeing from Candy. So to be doing mukbangs like this in 2016, it was weekly, but now it's twice a week. How do you manage that? How do you keep that within a healthy realm and not perpetuate the psychological cycle of addiction with this thing? And I've used the example many times before, but it's like an alcoholic saying, oh, I'm only going to drink on Friday nights and no other night. And we know full well that that would never just stay to Friday night. So this is why I say somebody like Candy and mukbangs, they just cannot exist together. It's never going to be a healthy setup. It's never going to be set up for success. And I know that she's telling herself that she needs it for income, but that is just categorically untrue. There are always options. The reality is she just doesn't want to do the other options. She wants to do this option and stay locked in her addiction in this way. And I really hope that this doesn't resonate with anybody listening. I deeply hope it doesn't, but if it does, I implore you to find a way to change your life, seek help, seek action, and do the opposite of what's hurting you in a nutshell.
I'm still hungry. No, I'm not really hungry. Because how do you even judge? So I wasn't really hungry when I started. But I don't feel so full I can't eat more.
So this is something that really resonates with me and something that I struggled with a lot. I practice intuitive eating now, but I do not think that intuitive eating is for everybody at every stage in their journey. And why I say that is, for example, I struggled with my own intuitive, my body telling me that I was full because, like every millennial, I got told that I had to sit at the table and finish my food, and I wasn't going to leave the table until all of my food was finished. And unfortunately, what that does to a child is it says, you don't know when you're full or when you're hungry. You're going to be full and hungry at the time and at the amount that I say that you're going to be full and hungry. So you learn to ignore those hunger signals and the full signals. This is a really good example of what Candy's talking about. She's like, I wasn't really hungry when I started. Well, then why are you eating? You shouldn't be eating. Your body is telling you it does not need fuel right now. And then she says that she's still hungry, but of course she's not talking about her body actually being hungry, because you'll see in a minute she's consumed a great deal of food by this point. She's talking about that her emotional need for the food, the emotional hunger, has not been satiated. And it's problematic because her body can only handle so much. And if she's still mentally not satiated, then that's a really big issue. It took me a lot of practice and a lot of months to be able to get back in tune with my body to be able to say, oh yes, no, this is done. That's me. I'm done. I'm not going to finish everything on my plate, and I'm just going to leave it, and I'll be in a little bit of anxiety, but I'm just going to leave it. And I've found now that really helps, but that would have been a real challenge for me back in the day, if that makes sense. And I found it really beneficial now because with the intuitive eating, that overstuffed feeling that Candy is seeking actually is incredibly uncomfortable. And I assume that that's what quote unquote normal people, I hate to use the word normal, but you know what I mean, people that don't struggle with this, I assume that's what they feel, and that, the overstuffed feeling is actually a very negative feeling, and you don't want to get to that point, so you make sure that you kind of stop earlier. I've personally found that the best way to be able to associate those feelings and to pay attention to them is to eat quite slowly, and that is definitely something that out of all of girl world and these women, they eat so fast, so fast, and your body doesn't have time to catch up until you've piled so much food in there that it's over full.
Goodness, I think this is the last bite. I couldn't eat no more. I'm full. I had a nice time. Thank you. Candy Godiva, the Hungry Fat Chick, signing off. Bye.
Okay, so I'm going to do a little estimation of calories. There may be some discrepancies based on the fact that this was some time ago. Also, discrepancies between countries. There could be many things here. So feel free to chime in the comments if you feel like I've done this, tallied this wrong, or if I'm off or under, higher, whatever. So at this point, she had consumed 8 pieces of chicken, heavily battered, heavily fried. She also consumed, she had bought 2 of those little cuppy things of mac and cheese. I think they look like about half a liter. She ate 1.5 of them. Then she ate 2 of those dinner rolls. This is a grand total of anywhere between 4,120 calories and 5,200 calories in a single sitting. For a little bit of context there, in case you're not somebody who tracks your calories, I consume somewhere between 1,700 and 2,000 calories per day. So she almost ate 3 days worth of food for me in one sitting. And, you know, this is one meal in a day. This is not going to be the only meal. And when you think about the symptoms of like intoxication that she was exhibiting, it's really concerning that her body is dealing with this kind of intake of food. It is so dangerous, and I hope it was worth the money that she earned. I hope it was worth it.
Hi y'all. Today I'm doing another YouTube mukbang or mukbang. Mukbang. I don't know how you pronounce it exactly, but I think that's close enough. I was looking forward to doing this. I was looking forward to Chinese food. That's what I was looking forward to. I look forward to my little video and eating shows. Okay, what have I here? Spam musubi, chicken wings. I got my special salt and pepper chicken wings. I love these. I had this sitting on the side. This will bet to my pot stickers. And I also got some sesame chicken, because that's like one of my favorite things. I also like General Chicken. See, I'm just talking about food because food's like my favorite thing. Food's my favorite thing in the world. And I got a couple of egg rolls. I didn't get a whole big bunch of food because I'm a poor fatty. Yeah, I'm not fooling myself. I don't know if I can eat all of this stuff, but I'm gonna eat a nice little bit of it because that's what I do. I'm gonna eat till I get super full, and I'm gonna be really happy and really thankful to the fatty gods for providing.
Chinese takeaway food. Takeaway specifically, I'm talking about, not just the general cooking, but what we're looking at her eating at the moment is deceptive. It is extremely high in calories compared to the volume that you eat. So like these little tiny packages can be absolutely loaded with calories, and that's just because of the way that they cook the food in oil, and it's all prepped in that way. So although it can look like a very small amount of food, it's actually very, very heavy. And also, I don't know if you guys experience this as well, but I actually find that I don't stay full for very long after Chinese food. So not only are you getting the influx of calories, but then you're also hungry again later. So this is not a good choice for her for obvious reasons. But I want you to have a look. This video was huge. It was an hour long, but there was actually only 7 minutes of usable footage out of it. But have a look at the way she starts with her energy and then the way that she goes on throughout the video. Also, now that I think of it, like she references herself as poor repeatedly. Is it different in America? Please tell me, my American nuggets. Is it different in America? Because Chinese takeaway food here is actually really expensive. I would consider this a treat, like in the expense department. Although, you know, talking to somebody that never gets takeaway, but you get my point. Is it really cheap in America, or is this kind of what I've brought up previously with Candy, where it's a little bit of a questionable budget thing where she spends all her money on this kind of food, and I don't know. Let me know. American Nuggets, I need you.
Let's see, what can we talk about? I have no idea. I live such a boring life. I don't do anything. I sit here most of every day. The biggest excitement in my life is going to the doctors. I'm disabled. I have this autoimmune thing that they don't know what it is. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, so I don't even want to talk about all that, which pretty much leaves me with not a lot to talk about. But I'm okay. I'm just tired all the time, you know, and I can't really do a lot. I'm hurting a lot. You know, and eating a lot of food doesn't help, but it brings me joy. So, you know, what else in life should I be doing but being happy? You know, and as long as I keep it, like, in a balance, I keep it, like, right where I'm, like, a happy area where I'm not too hurty.
Okay, I am about to be potentially controversial. I want to say at the top of this, none of us are doctors. Oh, I don't know, Nuggets, you might be a doctor, but you're not her doctor, I would be betting, in 2016. But we're not privy to her medical records. I don't know what she has or what she's suffering with. Let's put it out there. Okay, autoimmune. Let's just roll with that. What doesn't help autoimmune? What causes heavy fatigue and what causes pain? You know, regardless of what she has or what she doesn't have, it is correct to say that this current lifestyle is not in any way, shape, or form going to be helping the symptoms that she is experiencing. Whether, you know, this lifestyle is actually causing these symptoms itself, which it absolutely could be, or whether it is something underlying that isn't diagnosed yet. I know that there is a little bit of an issue with doctors only seeing weight, and I absolutely agree that sometimes that is a sticking point. However, the reality is that being this kind of overweight contributes so badly to so many conditions that it's kind of like, well, let's just get rid of the most obvious thing off the table and then we can deal with what's left. I think in Candy's situation, you know, are we looking at horses or zebras, basically, is what I'm saying here. I don't know if any of you listening have ever tested, you know, for science, because we're a science channel here. If you've ever tested what it feels like to eat clean, like I mean really clean, whole foods, fruits, vegetables, lean meats, and making sure that you're getting all your macronutrients in and everything's well balanced. And then what happens when you miss just a single day and eat like this for just a single day? You will notice such a dip in your energy levels. It is astounding. It's amazing what the human body can actually get used to. It's like it's really good at adapting to the food that it has available because we're designed to just kind of keep going. But you don't realize in that state exactly how rubbish you're feeling until you start eating clean and start exercising with it and then miss a day. It's just, if I were to eat the kind of meal that she's sitting down to at the moment, I would bet that I would be in gastric distress for several days. I think I would be very unwell from this food and I would feel very, very flat. But it's an interesting experiment, but worth keeping in mind that when you're constantly fueling your body like this, you're just completely unaware how rubbish you're actually feeling. And I think, you know, some of these symptoms that she's mentioning could be heavily alleviated, if not just like, you know, slightly improved, right, by correcting this lifestyle. But we got to do it for the money. And regarding keeping it in a balance, I mean, this is Candy's forte though, isn't it? Because being able to tell herself something and believe it's true is something that she is almost superhuman in. And the reality is when you're just dealing with a relationship with food in the way that she is, that there is no balance. There can't be a balance. Maybe one day when you've been practicing for a long time to correct the lifestyle, maybe you could consider adding it rarely back into your life, but maybe even that's a stretch. Maybe she's the sort of person that just cannot ever be around this kind of food. But there is no balance. It's a complete fallacy that she's telling herself. And it's telling, isn't it, that she's saying that if she doesn't have this food, that she's going to hurt. Because there's been no support system that she's built around herself to be able to handle the negative emotions that she has from her childhood, let alone actually dealing with that childhood trauma. And that's why what I was saying with developing those activities around yourself to be able to self-soothe and to be able to handle your own negative emotions is so, so critical.
So I sit around most of the day, and my window to the world is the internet and YouTube. I spend a lot of time on YouTube. Obviously not enough because I missed out on this. I was doing other stuff. You know, I do other eating videos, but I don't do them for YouTube. I'm sure a lot of my fans would be aware of that.
So she doesn't say specifically where she's doing things or what she's doing, just that there are other things going on. So at this stage, at least, I don't know if she still does in present day. There are alternate videos going on.
That's the problem with being a big fat fatty. And I don't take offense to being called fat. I like my big fat body. And that's it. I am fat. You don't have a lot of capacity because all this fat stuff it like really pushes down on your tummy. I try. I eat as much as I can fit in there. And I don't push on because I want other people to be happy. I push on because I'm making my belly happy. Because I like to be really, really, really full. And just sometimes I like to feel that feeling.
Yeah, so that sensation that she's describing is really supposed to be the body signaling like, hey, wow, you've shoved way too much food in me, and this is now an unhealthy state for us to sustain and to break down and handle or to process. But she's describing it as that's her happy place. That's from her childhood what she has defined as safety, as comfort, as love. And she's continued this throughout her life. And again, with Candy, and even at this point in time where she's 44 years old, that is still older than I am right now. And I am so deeply sad for her that she has not addressed that cycle, that childhood trauma in any way, shape, or form, because she's still so in the grips of it. She is still living in it. And while Candy has had a traumatic upbringing, the state of things that she described is absolutely less than ideal, but so many of us have had less than ideal. So many of us are carrying childhood trauma around with us. But part of learning to be a functional adult is taking accountability for like the hand that you were dealt, but then standing up and taking responsibility for what you do with that hand. It doesn't always need to follow you everywhere and dictate everything that you do in life. And it just comes back to that lack of support system that she's built for herself. It's never too late. And I think that the most important thing to remember when we're looking at people like this is we don't know at what stage of their journey that they're on. We don't know where they are, say, in a percentage kind of realm of if 0 is right at the beginning and 100 is beating it. We don't know where they are. And even though we might see them fail or I don't even want to use the word fail, but even if we see them perpetuate their cycles over and over and over, it doesn't necessarily mean that the next attempt is not going to be the winner. The sad fact is that I think some of the women that I cover, and probably some of the people that I will cover in the future, may never complete their journey in that way. And I don't think that is necessarily something to be judged, but more something to be considered, and perhaps something to take as a learning for our own lives. But Candy, I know we're looking at her in the past right now, but in present day could still absolutely turn this around if she takes accountability and responsibility for her childhood trauma and start dealing with it, start addressing it, and not covering it in all of these instant gratification coping mechanisms that she's developed for herself.
I'm just so happy right now. I don't get to do this very often. Not just make videos, but just really go all out and treat myself to a nice big meal. And being a poor fatty, I can't do that very often. And yeah, I call myself fatty because I'm a happy fatty. I'm a hungry fat chick, for God's sake. I wouldn't call myself a hungry fat chick if I wasn't prepared to call myself a fatty.
I mean, if she's fine with that title, I think that's absolutely great. For me, that has some distinct negative connotations, and I would consider if I referenced myself in that way, it would be negative self-talk. I don't know if that's the case for her. I have a suspicion that it is, but she has really, when you think about it, taken this cycle of the relationship that she has with food and the childhood trauma that's behind it, and she's just like fully wrapped herself up in it, created a persona, created a career, and is full tilt in that direction at this point. And I don't think I've ever thought of it exactly like that before, and that is slightly horrifying. I feel so sad for her. I always root for the underdog, you know? You want to see people turn it around. You want to see people beat their demons and win. And I don't know. I hope it happens.
Yeah, I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. So, endocrinology. Wow. That's fun. I don't even know what all that's about.
Okay, so she was talking about autoimmune earlier. Now she's talking about an endocrinologist. So they are dealing with hormone function, and potentially what would be high on their list is diabetes. And as I've mentioned already, I would be putting that high on my list for her to be looking at. And it makes me think that perhaps, I wonder if she's floated the autoimmune idea to the doctors, and I wonder if they're saying, well, let's look at everything else. I don't know, but it's probably a really good thing that she's going to see an endocrinologist. I don't know if she did. Hopefully she went through with that one. Okay, so before we move on to the final video of 2016, I just want to do a little calorie estimation recap of what went on in that mukbang. And I don't know if you noticed, but her energy levels did drop towards the end there. So this is what she consumed. It wasn't everything that she bought, but in this video, she had a large, I think it was a large boba tea, the spam musubi, 8 chicken wings, the box of sesame chicken, and the box of steamed white rice. I'm estimating she actually ate about 2/3 of that bowl. And see what I mean? Like, chicken is a very, very lean meat, but that tiny little box packs such a punch in calories. 2 egg rolls, the box of Chinese dumplings. She didn't say how many were in there, but I'm just going to guess between 6 to 8. And she also consumed 3 fortune cookies at the end there. So this meal was not as big as the fried chicken one, but it comes in at a total of 2,600 to 3,560 calories in one sitting. I think that's why we're seeing the similar decline in energy levels, just because her system is just trying to process all of this food. It's too much for a body that is already under pressure to be able to handle in one sitting. All right, final video.
Hi, y'all. Today I'm having me a private pizza party mukbang eating show, and you guys are invited. I've got my pizza from Papa John's, some barbecue chicken wings, and a 2-liter Pepsi. I don't expect to eat all this, but I'm gonna dig in and really give it a go. So what's happening in the world of candy this week? Not much as usual. I've been playing a new game. I played it before. And I really like it, but I don't like it at the same time, because it's got a lot of time management involved. It's called Eve Online.
So, I mean, this could literally be copy and pasted, right? New game, same routine. And you kind of see what I mean by the picture she paints is really just sitting alone in her unit, just looking at her phone or her computer.
No dating or anything like that. Not seeing anybody. Nope. It's just me.
I get the sense from her that this actually makes her really uncomfortable. And I actually kind of think it's a good thing. I mean, we know that she's living with one of her exes at the moment. I don't know which one it is, but maybe it's a really good thing for her to just be with herself and try some things, you know, get out of her comfort zone. But I mean, spoiler alert, I know you all know she doesn't do that, but it would have been a really, really good opportunity.
You know, just sitting here eating with you guys, it makes me feel like I'm not so alone. It makes me feel better. Because I spend a lot of time eating alone. So this is nice. I know that you guys are with me, watching me eat food, and cheering me on.
She is really, really good at this. She's sitting there alone looking at a camera. I just want to remind you of that. This is not live. She's not talking to her people. She is creating something out of this experience for herself, creating meaning that isn't actually there. And if eating alone is something that bothers her so much, well, sitting at home on Facebook and playing MMOs is not actually going to change that. Any step towards a better life for herself, it seems like at every opportunity she turns away from that option. And I do think that that comes back to what she feels she deserves.
It's been such a dull week. There's just not much goes on here. It's just me and the computer, and I watch my friends and do their thing and live their lives. And I'm basically agoraphobic, kind of a shut-in, and it's really sad. But I'm happy. No, I'm not bothered by it. I enjoy myself. I play my games. I watch my shows, I do my stuff, I eat my food.
Does this look like the face of somebody who is happy and not bothered by it? As someone who has struggled with agoraphobia, and I still have to keep it in check, it likes to present itself if I let it go for too long, unchallenged, you know? I cannot in any way, shape, or form say that there is happiness with that. The fear of going out, the fear of meeting people or going into social situations or putting yourself in any sort of uncomfortable out sort of situation at all does not bring happiness. And I can definitively tell you that the only way to battle something like agoraphobia is to actually go out and keep going out and keep it challenged. And as I say, I think in pretty much all of my videos. Make yourself uncomfortable. Being comfortable is the worst possible thing that you can do when you're dealing with fears or anxieties like this. Be uncomfortable, nuggets.
I wish there was more to tell, but there's not really. I'm just a poor fatty. No, maybe one day I'll have something a little more glamorous to talk about.
When I heard this, I had to pause what I was doing for a time and just process this. She is 44 years old. This is 9 years ago, and she hopes that there's something more glamorous in the future. And just take into account her future. And I find it, I have no words. It is so unbelievably bleak that this is the way that she chose to live her life. As it stands today at recording, seemingly no effort to actually change that. Some little health journeys that don't really work, that don't really stick, but it's just the same thing over and over that she's been doing for how many years at this point? It's so bleak. Okay, so for the third mukbang, this pizza was huge, by the way. I'm sure we do not have this size in Australia. Everything's bigger in America. Okay, so she wound up consuming half of the extra large pizza. She had some garlic dipping sauce for the crust. She had a 2-liter Pepsi, but she probably only drank maybe half a liter of it, but it is full sugar. 8 barbecue, very sticky sauce chicken wings, and a Snickers bar at the end for dessert, coming in at a total of around 3,190 to 3,680 calories. So again, that's quite significant. So she didn't experience that like same intoxication level with this one, although this was a much shorter mukbang. So she actually put this food away really, really fast. So maybe we hadn't seen it yet, but here's something I noticed. Pay attention to her breathing.
Yes, I'm full. I feel so much better now. I'm happy. I ate some barbecue chicken wings and nice free pizza from Papa John. Ooh, and I ate a Snickers bar for dessert. And that was that. Thank you guys for joining me. And if you enjoyed that, be sure to come back next week. Like, and if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time. Bye now. Bye.
So fully out of breath, just saying goodbye to the camera at this point. And the reason that this could be, did you ever wonder why, as a kid, that you were told that you couldn't go swimming until 20 minutes after eating? In actual fact, really it shouldn't be any sort of physical exercise directly after eating, just because the body has a finite amount of blood in it, and to be able to do something like strenuous exercise, to be able to process a large meal, or to be able to do complex thought processes like mathematics or something like that, it doesn't have enough blood to be able to do all of these things. So when you're told that you can't go swimming after eating, it's just because your body is redirecting blood around your body to your digestive system to be able to break down what you've just eaten. And when you're in a pool, there is risk of cramping up or a stitch or something like that because your muscles are not getting the blood that they need for that activity, and there's a drowning risk with pools, obviously. Rather than like normal activity, you might just get a stitch and stop. But in Candy's case, her body is already under such pressure with the amount of extra tissue that her circulatory system needs to take care of, that the effects of these things being re-diverted look much, much more exaggerated. So it's not that her lungs are not getting any blood at all. They are, but it's so heavily diverted to breaking down the meal that she's just had that her respiratory system is suffering in this moment. And in previous meals, we've seen that her cognitive function reduces. So it is already quite a dire situation, and this is 9 years in the past. So final thoughts. It's been a very, very big video this time, Nuggets, and I'm so grateful if you're still here listening to me. Say hello if you are. I think this one has been very enlightening to be able to tell where Candy came from and where her mindset is at, and also to be able to see cycles and habits and patterns that she's still doing today and that she probably had been doing for years before this too. There's a great deal of time missing that we couldn't observe, and I think it's pretty evident after chapter 1 and now this one that she's pretty much been doing this her whole life. So I hope you were able to get something out of this video. I know there was a lot of information thrown at you, and I'd be really, really interested to hear your take on this situation. I'm really looking forward to really getting into her first full year of YouTube. I'm not quite sure what that will look like just yet, whether it'll be grouped like Eugenia in theme or if it'll be just chronological, but we will see when we get there. But that's all the clucks I have left to give today. Stay golden, my little nuggets, and I'll catch you next time.
Hey! I'm gonna go watch another video. Let's go!